She received nearly 15,000 votes, around 41% of the total vote. Reform finished second, and Labour, which hasn't lost in this area for nearly 100 years, came third.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the most catastrophic blunders made by the Labour Party.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Make no mistake about it, Mark. This is a seismic moment, not only for Peter Mandelson, but for British politics as a whole.
Number 10. Ed Miliband Sandwich.
It was really
there.
rubbish. I won't use a four-letter word on LBC. It was really rubbish.
It was really rubbish.
Yeah, it was really rubbish. Losing an election is really rubbish.
For most of us, it's virtually impossible to be photographed while eating and to look good. Unfortunately for Ed Miliband, a journalist captured a picture of him at probably the worst possible moment, halfway through eating a bacon sandwich.
You dream of the bacon sandwich in the middle of the night?
The what, sorry?
The bacon sandwich.
You know, I don't dream of it.
The image became a massive meme, with the press relentlessly publishing it, like The Sun, which made it their front page photo just before the general election. Many people claim it lost him the election, but Miliband denies this.
I don't think I lost with the bacon sandwich. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know how absurd that phrase sounds in itself?
Well, indeed.
We'd be lying if we said his reputation didn't suffer massively, and it's probably the main thing most people remember him for.
I lost for deeper reasons than that. And in a way, I shouldn't sort of console myself by thinking, it's just because I ate the sandwich.
For your brother, it was a banana, wasn't it? For you, it was a bacon sandwich.
Number 9. Angry Scouser.
I just say that I don't know how you've got the guts to come to this city after you have been being interviewed and doing columns for the Sun newspaper.
Many Labour supporters believe the party's ideology has shifted massively in the past few decades. One such individual was Audrey White from Liverpool, who dared to confront Sir Keir Starmer in person about his policies.
Secondly, you lied to us about uniting the party. I'm still a Labour Party member, and you've expelled and witch-hunted in the most vicious way I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Throughout the whole interaction, Starmer looks beyond uncomfortable, like a schoolboy being told off by a teacher. It's hilarious seeing him put in his place by a pensioner, and it didn't help when he had her escorted away, making him look threatened by a little old lady.
You have absolutely said you had 10 pledges, you were going to carry on the Corbyn legacy, and ever since you've done nothing but distance yourself from the ideas which tens of thousands of people joined the Labour Party to support.
White's other claim to fame is decades of inspiring activism, like a campaign against sexual harassment in the workplace, which led to a law change in 2005. White was expelled from the party after this incident, but at this point, we doubt she minds.
We may as well have a Tory if we have a person like you who lies to the party. It's dishonesty.
Thank you very much.
And our health services go right down the pan.
Number 8. Farmers' protests.
Some farmers say that this tax is going to hit them very hard. They've got slim profit margins and they're already hurting from having to come off EU subsidies. But others say that farmland has been used as a way for already very rich people to dodge their tax liabilities.
Starmer's Labour Party came into power in July 2024, and their subsequent October budget led to widespread protests from farmers. Given their party's name, you would expect them to side with labourers. Instead, they decided to introduce an inheritance tax on farmers, which was contentious, as most farmers are pretty cash poor.
I think they should. I think the only people that should pay, I think we should potentially put a cap on large businesses buying farms and getting agricultural property relief. That is wrong. I get that. But if it's been actively farmed, and especially if it's a family farm, no way, they shouldn't pay a penny.
People criticised it for pushing many independent farmers out of the business, instead allowing larger corporations to dominate the industry. It was criticised by figures such as Jeremy Clarkson, who became one of the law's most vocal opponents. Supporters of it instead argue that the law prevents farmers from dodging taxes. But like most political issues, there's no agreed-upon consensus, except the fact that Labour did a terrible job implementing it.
On the one hand, speaking to people who own about 150 acres now sounds like a lot. On paper, it's a lot in terms of the land value, but that's not a lot when you're thinking about what constitutes a viable farm. And on the other hand, I've just spoken to someone whose family farm is 4,000 acres and feels that that's not an excessive amount of land or asset wealth, but, maybe it is.
Number 7. cash for influence.
Breaking news tonight, the BBC understands there will be no charges in the Cash for Honours inquiry. No one will be prosecuted after a lengthy police investigation that targeted some of those closest to Tony Blair.
In 2009 and 2010, Labour was the subject of not one, but two cash for influence scandals. In January 2009, the Sunday Times alleged that 4 lords were taking donations in exchange for amending legislation.
And finally, one of those many who lent a great deal of money to the Labour Party, the businessman Sir Christopher Evans, also arrested, and if it is confirmed tomorrow, will be waving goodbye to all the anxiety.
An investigation found both Lord Truscott and Lord Taylor were guilty of this, and they were both suspended, something that hadn't happened since Oliver Cromwell's era. The year after, a similar scandal broke out, with lords and MPs being accused of offering to work for a fake firm in exchange for thousands of pounds. This led to 4 Labour politicians being suspended, with 3 getting permanent bans from Parliament.
The former occupant of Downing Street, Tony Blair, believes that this investigation, and yes, let's be honest, the media coverage of it, did him immense damage, sapped his government of authority.
Number 6. Officegate.
The former First Minister of Scotland, Henry McLeish, is with us now. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us on the programme this morning.
Another controversy over expenses arose in 2001, except this time it was in the Scottish Parliament. Henry McLeish became the First Minister of Scotland in 2000, but left after just over a year in office.
This is important, but I believe that we've reached a point in the history of devolution where we've got to step back. Clearly, the Supreme Court is looking at the question of could Scotland move forward, have its independence referendum.
It was the first scandal in the history of the Scottish Parliament. It started in 1987, when McLeish was an MP, and he sublet offices without declaring it to the House of Commons.
And my main thesis is that we need to give devolution a chance to work. That would be looking at the long view, not the short term.
When this was revealed in 2001, he went onto Question Time to try and save face, but his appearance was catastrophic. McLeish defended himself by claiming it was an honest mistake and stating that he simply forgot to declare these expenses.
And I believe there's much more potential in the Scottish Parliament to be realised before we think of moving on.
Number 5. Angela Rayner Tax Scandal.
It's been quite a distressing time for my family. I have a court order that was in place around confidentiality regarding my son, my family and my divorce proceedings that happened.
For just over a year, Angela Rayner was Keir Starmer's deputy PM. Her career took a massive hit in August 2025, when it was revealed she hadn't paid £40,000 in tax.
In January 2025, Rayner sold her stake in the property to the trust. Then, this summer, she bought an £800,000 flat in Hove, and after getting legal advice, said it's the only property she owns.
Specifically, she had bought a flat but didn't pay enough stamp duty. It turned into a bit of a mess, resulting in Rayner's resignation in September 2025.
Rayner has now referred herself to the independent ethics advisor on ministerial standards. She says she's followed all legal advice, and it's the complexity of her divorce and the care for her son that has contributed to this.
This was followed by a massive reshuffling of Starmer's cabinet, as he was worried about his leadership being challenged. It was a controversial shuffle, with some observers criticising the way women PMs were handled.
But certainly, any solicitor advising her on the purchase of her Hove apartment should have been able to give her the correct advice that she had to pay the additional £40,000.
Number 4. Gorton and Denton by-election.
Is the Labour Party entering into the electoral valley of death? That's the question raised by our pollster and expert Rob Ford.
In Greater Manchester, the constituency of Gorton and Denton had a by-election after Labour MP Andrew Gwynn resigned. Throughout the whole campaign, Labour was insistent that it was the only party that could beat reform. In the end, it turned out to be a complete lie, as Green Party candidate Hannah Spencer won by a significant margin.
So I hereby declare that Hannah Catherine Spencer is duly elected Member of Parliament for the Gorton and Denton constituency.
A lot of people blamed the result on how Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, wasn't allowed to run as Labour's candidate.
Instead of working for a nice life, we're working to line the pockets of billionaires. We are being bled dry, and I don't think it's extreme or radical to think working hard should get you a nice life.
Others said it was simply because Spencer had the best campaign, as she managed to connect with the constituency's locals.
They'd never before today got a more than 10% of the share of the vote in a by-election, but today over 40% went to the Greens.
Number 3, Cash for Honours Scandal.
Tonight, after 16 months and thousands of pounds, the Loans for Peerages investigation comes to nothing.
It's been the law for years that any and all political donations must be public, no matter how big or small. Well, in the 2000s, Labour politicians discovered a loophole. If the money is loaned, not donated, then you don't have to declare it, allowing politicians to accept bribes in secret.
It looked at one stage like the straw that could have broken the Labour government. Allegations of sleaze and corruption, the whiff of improper conduct right at the top of government. The claims were that peerages were available in exchange for loans.
It first became public in March 2006, when MP Angus MacNeil pointed out how 4 men, who Tony Blair nominated for peerages, had donated roughly £5 million to Labour. No one was convicted, but all 4 peerages were blocked and the loans had to be paid back.
Do you think Labour fundraising is squeaky clean?
I said on this very programme when this started, if we had proper public funding for democracy, and if we had an elected House of Lords so the Prime Minister couldn't appoint anyone to it, we wouldn't have this problem.
Number 2, Peter Mandelson.
Which says that officers have arrested a 72-year-old man on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He was arrested at an address in Camden on Monday, the 23rd of February, and has been taken to a London police station for interview.
One of the most powerful men in Labour's history was easily Peter Mandelson. He was a major player in the cabinets of Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, and recently Sir Keir Starmer.
6 months ago, the man that you can see in the pictures was the British ambassador to Washington, one of the maybe half dozen most powerful figures in this country, personally appointed by Keir Starmer.
That was until it turned out he'd been friends with convicted criminal Jeffrey Epstein during the 2000s. Well, people knew they'd been friends before, but private documents released in 2025 revealed how close the two were. During the 2008 financial crisis, Mandelson, who at the time was Gordon Brown's business secretary, allegedly gave Epstein top-secret government information. Following the revelations, Mandelson resigned, and then, in early 2026, he was arrested.
When Gordon Brown was Prime Minister, Peter Mandelson, then Business Secretary, alleged to have forwarded emails, that's what the Epstein emails suggested, forwarded emails to Jeffrey Epstein, potentially containing confidential government material.
Number 1, the Iraq War.
The number of soldiers that have died, British soldiers in Iraq, and the countless number of Iraqi civilians that have died. Have you ever had a moment of a night where you might have shed a tear and said, this is horrific? Did you ever cry about what's happened?
Potentially the most infamous decision of Tony Blair's political career was the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The figureheads of the invasion were both Blair and then US President George W. Bush. Their motivation was to prevent Iraq from developing WMDs, as they believed the nation was hiding them from the United Nations.
Do you ever feel sometimes that perhaps you have blood in your hands?
No, I feel that I took a decision that was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I know many people disagree with it, but I took it in good faith.
It turned out they had none at all. The intelligence on which the invasion was based was false. Many experts have argued that this made the war itself illegal, and that it violated United Nations policies. Even Blair's Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott thought it was illegal.
And they're shouting war criminal, and they're shouting at you. Are you a war criminal?
Of course I don't believe that.
Can you think of any more Labour disasters we didn't mention today, or do you think we covered them all? Let us know in the comments below.